So what do you think about when you think about a father? What are things that a father does? Strong, protector, leader, provider, masculine. Right, but see that's the interesting thing is because so in some cultures the father makes the money and hands the wallet directly to the mother. Father having the money would not be masculine. In other cultures, father holds the money and makes the money. And handing the money over to the mother would not be masculine. So when we define these things, the definitions end up being very loose and are not universal. However, they have different manifestations depending on the culture, place, time, thought. High-heeled shoes. High-heeled shoes that women wear, those are not masculine, right? Tell me.
They were originally worn by men.
Who?
The French.
No. Pretty.
Really?
They're originally worn by the Persians. Persian horse riders in the army, very masculine. It allows you to keep your boots in the stirrups. So they put the high heels on. It's the first high heels. So they're worn by very masculine men in the army, right? So again, even though the definition is masculine and feminine, completely arbitrary depending on culture. So the way that these archetypes appear in different cultures, even within this whole lineage, it's going to be different between time and space. So for instance, when we're talking about it, we're kind of talking about it in the context of Afro-Brazilian culture. However, before it was in Brazil, where was it? Where? Muhammad can answer. So this, I asked in Brazil where this was in. We're talking about the context of Afro-Brazilian culture, but where was it before it was in Brazil? And people said Africa. But where in Africa? It was in Africa. Why did he not say Nigeria? Because Nigeria is a set of lines drawn by some white people who are not from there, and it comes from Yoruba lands, right? So nation states do not correspond to nations of people. So from Yoruba land, and the specific religion that is within this culture is called Ifa. Ifa, say Ifa. When it moves across the water to Cuba, Spanish-speaking Latin America, it becomes Santeria. So Santeria. But in Brazil, it's Candomble. Say Candomble. In Candomble, we have, when we talk about uniforms, right? I usually tell my students your uniform is shirt, your abadas, your corda, and what else? Chandala. Or if you have a Nope. So the point is that you can take notes, you can draw stick figures, and really, I tell my students, we don't have water breaks, we don't have any, but if you need to go take a break to grab your pencil and paper and write down a note to understand what was given, do that at any time, right? So please take notes, because we want to be able to understand these things and internalize them, and we're going to be working with these ideas a little bit later on. So Candomble is the religion in Brazil, and we say that capoeira doesn't have a religion, but capoeira has a spirituality. And within that spirituality, I like to think of it as the sense of connection to spirit. Some of the things in the universe that we have yet to be able to explain, but we feel it. So even people who are atheists will talk about the universe and energy, right? People may have names for it, like God or Allah or Batala or whatever. So these things are not necessarily specific to a particular religion when we talk about spirituality within capoeira, but it is a very strong energy that we tend to feel. And people will fill that space with whatever they're most oriented to. Because so many Afro-Brazilians were brought from Ljubljana, it's a huge part of that culture. But there are also a lot of Afro-Brazilians brought from Mali, Senegal area, Senegambia area, who are Muslim. So there's also a lot of traces of Islam in capoeira culture. There are also aspects of Christianity in capoeira culture that comes from the colonizers in most cases, right? But it's interesting because you'll find that these Orixas, these archetypes, are spoken of in many different ways, in many different names. There are multiple names depending on the nation within Candomble. So, for instance, Eshu Elegba, or Elewa. Iemanjá, Eshu Gani Eshu. Nyansa, Oya. Ibeji, totally different thing. Shango, capoeira.si. They have names as well as titles or salutations. Oshoshi.
Prosperity, wealth, also contrast, forest, hunters.
So like I said, these are concepts of nature, concepts of society, kingship, love, purity, peace, war, creation. All of these things are described as Orixas. Even things like, not this one in particular, but the agogo is an Orisha. The drums are Orixas. There are archetypes of the drums that are Orixas. So there's a story found in the Urdu Ifa. The Urdu Ifa is a collection of stories and divination patterns that teach morals, will indicate things that you should be doing. There's even an Urdu that says that you need to learn how to pray and live as a Muslim. It's very interesting. And in fact, when they talked yesterday, when Katusha was talking, maybe the day before, about the white of the Abada coming from, again, the Yoruba culture and the African spirituality. It came to Yoruba from Islam, the white Abada. In fact, the word Abada may also come from Abada. So it's this thing that passes through and comes in to us now. So the drums, they're so mad. They're so angry. It's that the rose is. Loud and clanging and brash. And the leader of the music. The agogo is the leader of the music. Why is the agogo the leader of the music? We have all these different sounds and all these different tones. The dancers are really dancing to us. But the agogo is to be the leader of the music. So in West Africa, the agogo is the leader of the music. Wow. In Afro-Brazil, the agogo is the leader of the music. Right? And so they make a plot. We're going to kill the agogo. And so they figure that they're going to drown the agogo, and they set the trap, and they invite the agogo over, but Oshun finds out about it and comes and talks to the drums and tells them that the agogo is there to gain the attention of the humans, so that the humans can pay attention to the drums. And the agogo is the leader, not because the agogo is over you, but the agogo calls attention and guides the dancer, or is guided by the dancer. So it's that interface between the agogo in that way is almost like a puppet. And so the drums calmed down, and they gave up on their plan to kill the agogo. which again should be metal because it's a product. But I think for capoeira, I really like the sound of the castanha agogo. But for samba, for Orixa dancing, it's definitely the metal. It's the proper. So these are the types of stories and ideas that are shared when we're talking about Orixas. We weren't even talking about it in the Facebook, we're talking about the instruments. But it tells you certain aspects of how human nature is and how we behave or should be thinking about behaving in nature. So we're just going to go down the line and talk about all these Orixas, what they symbolize, maybe if I know a story, maybe if I know a song. But we are starting with Eshu. Eshu is the first one because, anybody have any idea why Eshu was always the first? Father. Father. No. But good guess. It is similar to the agogo. He's the messenger. So Eshu is the opener of the path, the leader of the ways. Eshu is the trickster. It's known as a trickster archetype. In a lot of cultures, in Native American culture, you have a crow or coyote, the tricksters. Throughout much of Africa, you have a spider, Anansi, but we also have Eshu. So he's the trickster. And I like the explanation of him being a vigilante because he is for justice and he is allowed to have knowledge of all things, past, present, and future. And with that knowledge, he presents you with problems. I want problems. We don't want peace, we want problems. Because comfort leads to stagnation, which leads to rot, which leads to death. And growth comes out of being challenged and being uncomfortable. And so it's like when they say, well, one door closes and then 1,000 other doors open. That's one of those metaphors that deals with Eshu as a concept. You know, your plans got destroyed, and now what do you do? And we were talking yesterday, you're riding your camel, you're trying to get to this village because there's the money and the things, the goods that you have to pick up, there's water, there's food, and your camel dies. You get to the village now, and you're like, you could either be in despair, oh man, I'm just going to die here with my camel, what's going to happen? Or you could go, just going to get up, stand up, and walk in that direction. And we're going to get there. I'm going to just have to find an oasis, sit under a tree for a little bit. It's going to take me longer. I'm going to get there. And when you get to the village, everyone is dead. A raiding party came through, there was a war, it killed everyone. But there's water, the wells are still there. The goods that you needed to trade, well, you can't trade them. You can just take them because there's nobody to pay for them. Right? Some of the money is still there. And so you find a camel there, you load it up, and then you make your way home. You haven't had to pay any of the money that you came to buy these things with. You got all this stuff for free. And you weren't there on time because your camel died, which means that you missed the war and didn't get murdered while left on us in the village. So, and also you didn't give up, so you didn't die with your camel. So this is the kind of problematic that Eshu represents, that Eshu brings you, so that you have to deal with a moral problem and have the opportunity to grow. This concept is represented in many ways in the Hada. We beat the shit out of each other in order to make each other better. The person blocks you, not to make you frustrated, but to make you figure out a different way to go. A person kicks you, not to try to hurt you, but to try to give you an opportunity to escape and do something to them. So Eshu is central to the concept and the interaction that we have in the game of capoeira. Does that make sense? Tell me when I'm not making sense. I don't feel the way because, like I said, I'm So because Eshu is the opener of the pathway, he is the crossroads, the owner of the crossroads. So all of these choices that we may have to make, this is Eshu. Now, Eshu is often seen from the colonial point of view as the devil. A lot of tricksters are considered evil, but they're not. They're just giving you an opportunity to grow. Even the, what is it? The early Christian movement, Gnostics. The Gnostics understood Satan, Shaitan, in a different way. So who created Shaitan? Who created Shaitan? God. God created Shaitan. Was that a mistake? No. Did God not know what was going to happen? No. It is opportunities for us to grow, for us to be in a moral quandary and then make the right decision. So even in that context, we have a trickster that actually provides us opportunities. It's interesting because in Islam, during Ramadan, you know what happens? So Shaitan gets put on lockdown during Ramadan. During the month of fasting. So all the fucked up shit we do, all the thoughts we have, all the ideas that we during Ramadan, that's us. And we realize that maybe it's a little bit less, maybe it's a little bit more than the whole rest of the year. And that we keep blaming Shaitan for what we're doing ourselves. So again, another trickster. So Yemanja. Yemanja. Tell me about Yemanja. What do y'all know about Yemanja? Sea water, mermaid, the mother of all the Orixas, well, all of the new Orixas, not the old Orixas. Or sometimes not considered Orixas, like Nana's protector.
But maybe like the one is just the kind but also the one that's like this.
Very much so. So this is one of the the world has duality and balances, and every one of these concepts has a light side and a dark side. Right? There's the mother that is nurturing, and there's the mother that's smothering. Right? These concepts occur in all the Orixas and in all aspects of the things that we cherish as human beings. So she's almost like the natural mother of life on earth, because life comes from the sea, comes from water. And then Oshun has a similar parallel concept as well. And most of the Orixas have some type of warrior aspect, even if they're not particularly a warrior. So fisherfolk will invoke Yemanja. Almost all the songs for Kushad Jiheji are songs to Yemanja in hopes of getting a good catch of fish and also not dying at sea. Right? Because there's usually one fisherman who doesn't make it back. Similar, but mother water, because really the earth doesn't have any life without water.
That's what it is.
And another, while we're on this like kind of introduction to these Orixas, you can also think about other pantheons, because this doesn't just happen in the Yoruba. This happens in other African cultures, Native American cultures, in Hindu culture, in Norse culture, in Greek and Roman, which are taken from Egyptian, which descends to Oshun. Oshun is the goddess of, or the Orisha of love, sweetness, honey, fertility, abundance, bees. You could also look at Niemanja and Oshun as two different aspects of womanhood. So Oshun is the younger, beautiful, coquettish, like lover, whereas Niemanja is the mother. So that pathway there. And she is of the sweet water, the rivers and the lakes, whereas Niemanja is of the ocean. They're both represented by mermaids. They will both have a mirror. The dances, some parts are similar, some parts are different, at least in the Afro-Brazilian context. There's an aspect of beauty, but there's also vanity, right? She like jealousy, but she's also the peacemaker. She's also the diplomat. Right? Oshun. She provides the sweetness, so that it's also there's in South Asian culture the idea of eating something sweet before you sleep. It's a similar concept. So again, these things are universal. They just appear in different manifestations. So love, fertility, beauty. Nyansan. Oya. So think about the most aggro warrior woman that you can think of. Shango's wife. She's like the female version of Shango in many ways because she also represents lightning, not so much fire, but the wind, storms, zangados. They all carry certain symbols and implements. So she has the fly whip and the sword, similar to Ubun as the sword. She screams, she shouts. Epai oia iança, mulher forte guerreira. Epai oia iança, mulher forte guerreira. The animal shapes, yeah?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oya also is an epitome of beauty. She captured her beauty actually hypnotized Shango. That Shango, anytime he's around her, he's weak. Yeah. Anytime he's around her, he's weak. But the two of them have to work in synchronism. Like Shango is the thunder, she's the lightning. It's just like Thor and Jane Foster. And Oya tends to take any animal shape. She's a shapeshifter. Yeah. Yeah. Should we take the beautiful ones? Gazelle, a nice, beautiful serpent, cheetah, not from. Swans.
So one of the things that happens with the Orixas is sometimes it's talked about as syncretism, which is kind of when two religions combine. But the reality is that happened very much later. What was actually happening was masking. So, Muslims have done it, Jews have done it, depending on generally which Christian force has dominated at the time. But so they go crypto and start pretending like they are Catholics, but they internally do things that are of their particular religion. But So, you have, for instance, let's see, like Shambo, for instance. Santo Antonio quero água.
Antonio quero água.
Santo Antonio is one of the manifestations of Ogun. Saint Michael as well. It's probably more recognizable one because he's the one that slew the dragon and has the sword and the spear. So all of these tend to have a correspondent within Catholicism. Anyone guess who your Madame? Virgin Mary. So her mother is Nana, is the Orisha, is the mother of Mary. Orisha, not Orisha, older, eldritch spirit, whatever. But so Nana's saint mass is Santa Ana. But Santa Ana is the mother of Mary. Let's see. Umulu. Look at the Umulu. First, let's go to Ibeji. So Ibeji is not one Orisha, it's two Orishas, or the concept. So their names are Taiwo and Kehinde, but the masks that they wear are Sam Kaosli and Sam Damino. How many? Five. Hey, yes, actually. Yang twins. So they have the concepts of duality, right? Because yin yang, opposition, as well as balance, as well as collaboration and cooperation. Right. So now they have apparatus.
Capoeira name.
Cosme, one of them is Damiana because it's a really strong like male name. So Damiana. So 5 Damiana, which is also very special. Because Mestre means mother's name. So my Mestre is mom's name. We're done.
For the concept of Ibeji, right? Taiwo is the one that comes first.
The first one.
The first one that comes first. Kehinde meaning the one that came last. Right? However, in the Yoruba mythology, Kehinde was the one that sent Taiwo to go check out what's going on in the world. So the cry of Taiwo is what brought Kehinde out of the room. So if Taiwo was silent, Kehinde would not come out. So that means Kehinde is actually the elder one. But Taiwo is the first that came out. So that's the concept. So the two of them are always in unity. If there is conflict, there will never be peace in that environment they're in. Yes, if the two things are in conflict, there will never be peace. Because the energy around them is never going to be balanced. So, and they tend to be telepathic in nature. Like they tend to know, even if they are distant from each other, they can sense whatever each person is doing. They can even to the extent that in one
because the Mestre people's most famous quadra, menino que força mais, meu mestre força alemão, discípulo que aprende, o mestre que dá lição, mestre que me ensinou, 20 dias de concessão, a ele devo dinheiro, saúde e obrigação, segredo de São Cosme, mas quem sabe São Damião, Câmara. So the secret of São Cosme, but one who knows the secret of São Cosme is São Damião, because they know. Mấy lớn á.
ชื่อเขาให้ชื่อเลยกลับมาได้แถมชื่อไม่แถมชื่อใหญ่โตด้วย
So Shango, Kao Kabesile. Shango is the Orisha that I dance the most. He's also the head of Mestre Versatil, so that's why our group insignia has the machado, the axe, because it's the symbol of Shango, so that's Mestre Versatil's Orisha. Shango is the king archetype. So Shango is beautiful. He's a beautiful man. He's the symbol of male beauty, virility. So very much the masculine side of Oshun in this case, right? And then there's always this love triangle going on with the Orixas. It's wonderful. So Shango is thunder. Shango's fire. The dance for Shango, sometimes you see people who dance Shango and they have these bowls of fire and they'll be entranced in dancing and they'll burn their arms, but the arms won't burn, and it's really amazing. So again, the king archetype has that light side and dark side. So very powerful leader, very strong warrior, very vain, sometimes overbearing, bossy, not wanting to listen to advice, right? So any political leader that you may look up to has those aspects of Shango. They're a good leader, but they're too good of a leader, and sometimes don't want to listen. Sometimes they become a child. Right? So these are things that can happen with Shango. So we're going to jump. Not right.
Did you not write the
This is the one that I tend to relate to most, but I have not read Atlantic divination, so I do not know. Right? So Ogun. The M at the end is like a Ogun. Like Tambane, Ain, Amen. It's up here in your nose. It's not with the lips closed. His salutation. Tata Malembe is the father who comes like Lema, like Eshu. So there's some parallels with Eshu, and then Ogun also will open the way, clear the pathway. Ogun is metal. His implement is the sword. He's also the blacksmith. So in that way, he is high technology. In Hua, if your car dies, you you start fixing your carpet, you also pray to Ogun. So Ogun is about justice. So the cutting, maybe they're cutting the head of a criminal, right? So there's also that possibility of being overbearing, of being overly tyrannical, and clears the path. So like if you're trekking through the forest and you need somebody to be in front, you want the guy with the machete. He's going with the machete. So clearing obstacles. Whereas Eshu will create obstacles to get you going to the next place. Okay. So there's similarities, but there are also differences. So yeah, very strong, powerful men who have a sense of justice are often associated with Ogun.
And the Aries
God of war.
Aries is God of war, right? Ogun is Aries.
So you thought it was Kratos. No, that's Shambo. But since we're talking to you, well, you have to have fire to force them.
Yeah, so before them.
Not specifically. So then we have Oshoshi. In any case, Oshoshi is the hunter. And so when you have like these dual-sided aspects of, oh yeah, let's clean that a little bit. Of Orixas, and there's this balance sometimes. So Oshoshi is the hunter, but Oshoshi is also making sure to take care of nature and take care of the animals. We as human beings are not separate from nature, we are part of nature. So that means that we eat animals, but we don't misuse that. So for instance, right, there's been a movement in the past like 15 years around Zabbiha, around the Islamic slaughtering standard called green Zabbiha. The idea has been that factory farming makes it not halal because it is abusive to the animal. So a lot of places, like for instance Malaysia, cleaned up the way that it's chicken slaughtering happens because the idea is that abusing the animal is not halal. So that is a concept that comes or is parallel with Oshoshi. Oshoshi's implement is the bow and arrow. Nature, finding your way, hunting. Oshoshi is Mukasado. Ukangaseru. So the hunting. Maybe if you're going to go on a hunt, maybe if you have a business like, I don't think any of you have gone to the Borneo, or even someplace like this where you have a lot of plants and animals that you're trying to preserve. You're an ecologist, right? That type of thing. That's the energy that people. Yes.
Like in Islam, when you say you want to slaughter, you slaughter while putting the animal dead. Slaughter while make it swift and delay. So the same thing. You're a hunter, yes, the land is meant to give you sustenance. But don't waste it or misuse it.
So, and that's the thing, there are thousands of Orixas, like major ones, minor ones, but these are some of the main ones that we're going to encounter in capoeira culture. Omolu, Ohaluae, is the Orisha of plagues and diseases.
Yep. Yeah.
And exactly. So plagues and diseases as well as healing, medicine. Right? But I think that's part of the thing is that he's a hunter, and the hunters can't overhunt. The hunter can trample or preserve. But the ideal is that when you talk about Shango as the king, the leader, you think about him as a righteous, powerful warrior. But he can also be so the opposite of that, of what we think of as the ideal. So Omolu is cured. Omolu is like all these boils and leprosy on his skin. So he wears this so that nobody has to see. He was Oshun, ended up having to raise him, but he also brings the healing. So Sambentu is the patron saint of snake bites. So it's that curing of snake bites. But the interesting thing is, what do you use to cure snake bite? You use the snake venom itself to create antivenom to cure snake bite. Exactly, the cobra coral is a symbol of. Exactly. Oh, wait. So then, Asclepius, right?
Yeah.
It comes from.
Yes, Asclepius is Greek.
Boom. Shumare.
Shumare.
Ooh. Also, Shumare.
Oh, sexy.
Huh? Yes. What? Yes.
เขานมงูเขานมงู
It's a them. Well, so it's not non-binary. It can be male, it can be female, it can be neither. But Shumare is cyclical time. The fact that time is always moving in circles. It's regeneration. Like when you're growing, when a snake's growing, it like leaves its shell, it leaves the snake skin, and then comes out new. Also medicine. Yeah, medicine, like herbal medicine, and yeah, the rainbow serpent.
Yes.
Who is also the rainbow serpent? Quetzalcoatl. Or in this case, Tupucan. But, so, again, we see these things all over the world in different ways and in different places and on different people's islands.
It represents immortality. Time. So it's timeless.
Time
เป็นอะไรก็ได้เป็นอะไร
as a circle, as a cycle. So Oshala is the Prince of Peace. Who's the Prince of Peace? Yes. So the mask that Oshala wears is Jesus. So Oshala is peace, is calming dominion. Yeah, Oshala is just a Spanish pronunciation of Oshala. So the mask came because of colonialism. But the archetype was there before. Right? exactly. Which is why all these saints, like, they fit perfectly because the archetypes are the same, even though they didn't arise necessarily from the same lineage, but the archetypes are the same. A lot of mythic scholars and psychologists will say that that's because it comes from the collective unconscious. It's one of the things that shows that humanity is one and that we all come from the same place. As Africans also will say it's because we all come from the same place.
Which is true. I once have a friend, he's late now, he died like 2 years ago. He's actually a descendant of Shango. Yeah, he's a descendant of Shango. So he studied the Bifa. Based on what he studied, right? Yes, if we're talking about Islam and Christianity and whatnot, it was already in Africa, even before
It was anywhere else.
it was before the colonials came or the Arabians came, because based on historical artifacts, books, and also historical landmarks on where all the written prophets are visited, they surrounded around that Egypt, Ethiopia, Somalia, around that area. So because there's always a trade route along that side, so it tends to expand. That's why Oshala is place of peace. So perhaps some must have passed the message of Jesus to the Yorubas then.
Right.
So Jesus was not actually pronounced Jesus. It was pronounced Yesu.
Yeshua.
Yes.
Yeah. So you know
Yeshua,
how
Yeshua.
names get bastardized when they travel. Like Peter, if you go to Yoruba land, they call you Peteru. Yeah. So if someone says his name is Peteru or whatnot, just know that person's name is Peter. Or John, that's John. Yeah. So Oshala fits that purpose. But because language, then the white man came and painted a different picture. That's why it now sounds strange again.
They stole it and put their narrative.
Yeah. I mean, even for like the first Sahabis, the first people to accept Islam were Africans.
Yeah.
Like, the first people to follow Muhammad were Africans. The first Christians that they encountered were Africans.
We're Africans, yeah. First Christians.
The oldest
The first Jews.
Bible you'll find Ethiopia. And then after that, Armenia. And then we have Obatala,
Batala.
who is
Obatala.
So Obatala is the creator. Is Zeus, is Allah, is the creation. So two things. One thing that was really important, what Muhammad was talking about, is this friend of his was a descendant of Shango. Because a lot of these cases, these Orixas, the personified Orixas, are actually historical people who personify these aspects of being a good leader, or being a just warrior who is into smithing, or being a romantic lover, or the most beautiful woman, or the most powerful female warrior, right? And so a lot of the Orixas are historical figures that have become deified, or have really transcended and become these archetypes. Right? Like there was probably a person named Anansi, who was a human being. The Lion King was a person.
Mutafa.
So if you ever meet anybody named with the last name Keita, you know that they're descendant of the Lion King. They come from that family. So, like, but it's a story about the actual Lion King.
Mutafa is that
But
guy.
in the guise of lions.
I think it's like a Brahman in Hindu. Brahman.
Oh, Brahman.
Yeah. I think it's like.
So yeah, it is interesting because we see these archetypes in Hindu culture, and if you ask, some Hindus will say, we don't believe in multiple gods. There's one divinity, and there are all these different manifestations, right? And it's the same. There's one divinity, and these are all different manifestations of that power of magic creation. So I think a lot of times, especially as Muslims, we tend to be like, oh, this is, but we don't take the time to actually learn about it because we're so afraid from our point of view. Or we don't want to end up accidentally worshiping something. We don't want to end up accidentally becoming Muslim. But the interesting thing about Islam, especially Islam, and I think it may be the same for other religions, is that you cannot accidentally worship anyone. You can't even accidentally pray. You have to have it in your mind. I'm going to pray this many rakat. And some groups of Muslims believe that you have to say those things before you even pray. So there's nothing that can happen accidentally. But understanding, again, these things are just like understanding in Islam. We have 99 names for God that are different archetypes. There's the provider, there's the divine helper, there's the embracer, all of these things. So again, every culture, every subculture, every point of view, there are these different ways of thinking, ways of being. Which brings us to the next thing. We have ways of thinking and ways of moving, or ways of being. We also have ways of moving. And if you look at Afro-Cuban dance, or Afro-Haitian dance, or Afro-Brazilian dance, you have different types of dance movements that come from the different Orixas, or the Luat, if you're looking at Afro-Haitian dance. You have this, Shango, this, Oshun, Yamada will have this, Yamada will have that. But I'm not going to teach you those. I'm going to ask you to get with a couple of people. Well, first of all, pick an Orisha that calls to a Watala or Yemanja. We have the creator, we have the trickster, the opener of the paths, we have the mother, the creation of life, we have beauty and abundance, the lover, Oshun, Ljubljana, the powerful warrior woman. You have the twin. You have Shango, fire, thunder. You have Orun, justice, steel. Oshosi, Kangasev, Umulu, the healer, the disease, the Shumare. Nature, natural healing, time, immortality, replication of cycles, going into your new skin, and Oshala, peace, stability, justice, calmness. For whichever Orisha you've chosen, discuss it among yourselves, or if you're just one person, think about it and write down the kinds of movements that you think would symbolize that Orisha. If you have a question, you can ask me, just raise your hand and I'll come over. But I'll play some music. You have some time to just write it out or think about it, feel it in your bodies if you like. And let's give till like that, 10, 15 minutes or so. Hats off to the overachiever. The music might change up as we go through, but don't worry.
act in character.
Continue by lying in.
Vencedor de demônio, ele vem de Ljubljana para salvar filhos de sabe os campos de batalha, sabe a sereia do mar.
Who's fighting who? Who's who now? I mean, like, who's out? It's her. We don't know. Yeah, the trees, we don't know. Oh, my. I don't know.
Not the capoeira teacher.
I'm under.
Assim das águas doces de